Today I would like to go on a voyage through the seas, through the ocean, an exploration of what has rarely been explored. And sometimes we'll go through lakes and rivers too, which somehow doesn't make sense, but also somehow does. I am on a journey to find the worst shark movie ever made. And I'm starting that, sort of starting that, with Shark Exorcist, a 2015 film directed by one Donald Farmer. And I will just start off this with a recommendation. Maybe? Depends. Ask yourself, are you interested in watching vomit scenes and women writhing on the ground? If checkbox yes, this movie might be for you. And with that odd description, I'm going to describe the plot. I'm going to describe the sequences in the movie. And did I maybe go a little crazy and do a minute-by-minute breakdown? Yes. Okay. So, I apologize, I will be looking down at my notes, and if that bothers you, this is not the video for you. Okay, we begin with a woman dressed as a nun walking towards a beach. We have a dialogue voiceover that's telling us there is a 24-year-old nun, I couldn't quite hear the first name, Blair, who has murdered 13 boys and girls. She runs into a woman who's like accosting her, and she murders her too, throws her into the ocean, and then because this movie has I think this movie has like one of the worst sound qualities of a movie I've heard before. They're just using the audio the camera came with, so we're picking up all the background noise, the wind, the waves, the highway that's near the beach where they're filming this. This poor actress is having to scream, "Lord Satan, accept my sacrifice, send me an avenger." And then it cuts to shark. I think this is like one scene of a shark that's maybe like 10 seconds long that they've clipped up and they recycle throughout the whole movie, and we end up with a total of 1 minute and 1 second worth of shark scenes just like spliced throughout the movie when necessary that don't match up to what's happening in the scene that it's spliced into. So that's a thing. I mean, come on, Donald Farmer. If a Ouija shark, which had a significantly less budget, can do better, you can do better. We then have the credits, and it cuts to 1 year later where we're introduced to our three main characters. Three of our main characters. There's a lot of characters in this movie. Some matter, some are baffling as to why they're in here. So there's Lauren, she's the kind of annoying blonde. There's Emily, she's the kind of sensible brunette. And then there's Allie, she's the more sensitive blonde who's having trouble with her boyfriend, so we feel really bad for her. But will that last? Allie goes out swimming in the lake, which is Paris Landing, and she gets attacked by the shark, but she survives. And this is one of the worst fake wounds I've ever seen in a movie. It looks like they just put like a glob of blood. Like, you remember in kindergarten when they would have like paints and they would be those like big like bottles of paint and they were like really thick and gross? It looked like they just poured that all over her leg. And then we get like an 18-second clip of a hospital, which I'm assuming Donald Farmer just went to a hospital and walked through the hallway while filming secretly. That's what it looks like. Don't know if that's true, but that's what it looks like. After that, we cut to a 24-second scene, which I think that is Donald Farmer. The director is playing a reporter who's talking about all these shark attacks that are happening in Paris Landing. Then we cut to a baffling 1 minute scene of like Lauren. She's playing a shark game in an arcade. Like, everything is shark-centric in this movie. And then she walks out, she runs into Emily, and they talk about Allie getting out of the hospital. And it's Lauren just does not seem to care. And I'm assuming because the problems that Allie's having with her boyfriend is because her boyfriend's cheating on her with Lauren. I'm not sure if that's true, but it'll come up again, and I think that's what's happening here. After that scene, that I read a review that said This movie fails the Bladel test more than any movie the person who was reviewing it had ever seen. Which, yeah, like this movie, the dialogue is not written by people who have ever met people. Anyway, at that point, we come to Ghost Whackers, which reminds me of Ghost Facers from Supernatural. So there's this woman, Nancy, and she, I guess, is supposed to be like a medium, or I don't know. She's some sort of like conduit for the spiritual world, I guess. Kind of like Whoopi Goldberg and Ghost. And she's trying to talk to the demon shark, maybe? I guess that's what she's trying to do. But anyway, then we're treated to our first scene of a woman withering on the ground that lasts for a total of 1 minute and 14 seconds. So just her just like shaking and rattling on the ground. I don't know. But what's great about that scene is that, so she has a cameraman who's not named, and he has a camera, which I'm assuming they didn't use a very different camera for the filming of this movie, because they clearly weren't using a tripod for like any of this, and they didn't do any kind of ADR. They didn't oh my god, they did nothing. The most egregious scene that this comes up in is one of the last scenes, so I'll talk about that more later. But she's not looking. So in the film, we see her cameraman and her. So she should be facing him away from us, but she's facing the camera like that's being used to film the movie, and her back is to her cameraman. So if you're watching her show, it looks like this. So she's out here just talking to the ocean, not direct to her audience. It's very strange. Anyhow, we're gonna cut now. It's back to Emily and Allie talking. Emily, again, she's out of the hospital. Not Emily, Allie. She's out of the hospital. Abby? What the fuck is her name? Allie, yeah, she's out of the hospital. She is miraculously healed. Like, she doesn't even have a scar. Part of me thinks because they didn't want to try and do a scar effect. I don't know if that's true. That's just what I'm assuming. And she leaves Emily because Emily's getting on her case about taking so many baths. And at this point, I'm like, oh my god, is she going to turn into a shark? And the answer to that is kinda. She hitchhikes with this guy who is in real life her husband, and she lures him to Paris Landing, and then they had this weird, like, kind of flirty thing, and then he ends up being shark victim number 2, and they're sliced with like 5 scenes of the shark, which only amounts to 9 seconds, which again doesn't really coincide with what's happening to him. It's just the shark swimming, and it opens its mouth towards the camera like that. But like, it's bad. It's bad. Again, be a Ouija shark, not a Shark Exorcist. So then we meet Father Michael, and he gets a letter telling him that his brother has died. He's played by the same actor as the character we just cut away from, who had gotten eaten by the shark. So clearly that's supposed to be his brother. And in a few scenes, well, I'll get to it. But so yeah, now we're introduced to Father Michael. So we're introduced to our exorcist, perhaps. Now we're going to go back to Emily, who is wandering around her house for Allie, which doesn't make sense. I'll explain why later. We go back to Ghost Whackers. So Nancy apparently has this rivalry with a more reputable journalist, Brianna, who's telling her viewers, like, don't trust Nancy. She's a liar. There's real science and she ain't it. Honestly, I'm here for Brianna. Like, let's go, Brianna. Nancy's clearly cray-cray. Anyway, we cut back to Father Michael, who leaves his church, and he looks at his phone at pictures of demons, like statues that kind of like remind me of like Pazuzu from The Exorcist. He left a room full of books in the previous scene. He was surrounded by books while he was reading that letter from Foghorn Leghorn. And he left to go Google, I assume, images of demons. I'm screaming on the inside. We cut away from that to... I don't even know what the fuck this is. Yeah, we get like 3 goth cemetery chicks summoning Sister Sybil. So I kind of assume Sister Sybil is the nun, but that might not be true. But we've never seen these characters before. And once we leave their scene, we will never see them again. So they're doing some sort of chanty thing to summon Sister Sybil, and it's intersliced with a woman in white also in a cemetery who's just like running around, freaking out. And one of the goth chicks who's doing the summoning spell and the woman in white are both writhing on the ground. One for 39 seconds, one for 34 seconds. Who are they? What does this have to do with the rest of the movie? I'm confused. So very confused. And then we come to a 4-minute and 14-second scene that left me wildly uncomfortable. We meet this woman who is playing someone she's at a playground, and she, I guess, is supposed to be someone who is mentally quite young. She's acting very infantilized. And she meets Allie. She asks Allie, what do you like to do? And Allie responds, I like to get wet. And then they go to a pool. And the woman, acting like a child, undresses to a swimsuit, and they start swimming together. And then Allie just suddenly disappears, and she wakes up in her room because it was all a dream sequence. But the weirdest part about that is when Emily, in a previous scene, was looking around for her, she went into her, what is supposed to be her room, and it's not the same fucking room. But there's a picture of Allie that just like goes in like to different scenes to, I guess, remind us that that's her house. But like, who has a sexy picture of themselves? I just have so many questions. Anyway, cut to a scene of the Ghost Whackers again, where again we get our fourth woman writhing on the ground scene for another 36 seconds. And at this point, she's screaming like, come, I can feel you coming inside me. I guess she's talking about the demon shark? I hope. And at that point, the cameraman just like fucks off. I would too, bro. I would too. Then we get like another shark attack scene where Allie is at Paris Landing and she's kind of flirting with this other woman, and then the shark eats the other woman. Cut back to Ghost Whackers. We're just kind of all over the place. So Nancy is very clearly possessed here, and the reporter Brianna is following her, and we get our first vomit scene wherein Nancy just projectile vomits all over Brianna. And I'm not sure if Brianna is supposed to be dead or now she's going to be possessed by a shark. I really don't know what happens. Then we are just fucking treated to a 1-minute and 6-second scene with another character we have never seen before and will never see again, who's jogging. 1 minute and 6 seconds of this dude jogging. Up until the point where he comes to the lake and he finds the girl we just cut away from who'd been attacked by a shark. And we get our second vomit scene in a row. Yay, not. And even more disgustingly, he then says, after vomiting, she's still kind of hot. I'd still do her. I'm fucking screaming. The next scene is of 3 more characters we've never seen before and we'll never see again. The most like southern sorority girls you'd ever see in a movie, which honestly, having gone to school in the South and known quite a few sorority chicks, accurate depiction. Anyway, it's a weird scene. It's very, no human acts like this, and one of them gets killed with the worst shark footage that they had yet. It's so bad. So bad. It's so bad. But I think this is like our 4th shark attack at this point. Now, Father Michael and Emily meet up and they talk about Allie. Then we get a 5-minute and 30-second scene where they are at the fair. So they're filming at a fair, and clearly the audio was not usable. So instead of like doing any kind of ADR or anything like that, which probably wouldn't have sounded good based on the level of talent we have working in this film, no offense, but realistically, I just don't think they would have been able to do a better job. So they just dropped all the audio out and put music over it. When it's very bad. It's very bad. But here's where we get Lauren and a guy kind of walking around, flirting, again, acting very baffling because we don't have dialogue, so we don't know what they're saying, but it was really weird. But I'm assuming that that was Allie's boyfriend that was cheating on her with Lauren. That's why I think that. I could be super wrong. But anyway, Allie is following them, and she goes and she kills the dude, which is why I think that that was the boyfriend. Then Emily and Father Michael show up to find Allie, and it cuts to a scene where they are in the woods doing an exorcism. Father Michael takes in the demon, and we're fucking treated to the third damn vomit scene. And Father Michael, now possessed by the shark demon thing, then bites Emily, who runs away. And at this point, I thought maybe I was on drugs or high or lost my mind or started hallucinating. I really don't know, because I wrote something down and I was like, no, that's not right. And so I went back and watched the end again to make sure that this is what happened, and it is. A portal appears in the sky and a shark swims out and kills Father Michael and Allie. So is this an interdimensional shark demon alien? I have a number of follow-up questions, really. All right, so I would like to say the movie should be over there. And so about the 50-minute mark, the movie pretty much is over. But we have 4 additional scenes. The movie should be over scene number 1. So a never before, oh my God, I should say it's 9 minutes and 37 seconds long. So a never before seen woman walks up to the beach, lays down a towel, undresses, and lays down. I said I wanted to talk about the audio again, and I do right here. Here we can hear the cameraman breathing, and it's not intentional, and it's real fucking weird. But to make all that worse, again, keeping in mind, we can hear the cameraman breathing. We have a 2-minute, 41-second scene of a dude walking out from behind a tree, walking up to the woman who's now asleep in a bikini, and taking photos of her and looking at them while he's standing over her before leaving for 2 minutes and 41 fucking seconds while we can hear the cameraman breathing. It's uncomfortable. Then the nun from the beginning of the movie, which the opening of the movie happened a year ago, shows up at the lake. How long has she been there? Did she come back after a year? Has she been there the whole time? What's happening? But she kills the woman who is tanning. Don't know why. And to make it more baffling, then the woman she killed at the beginning of the movie rises out of the lake and drags her into the lake, interspliced with scenes of the shark. What does that mean? I literally have no idea what just happened. Cut to Emily shows up at the lake, and Lauren happens to be there. They say at the beginning of the film, though, that the lake's about an hour away from their house. So and clearly Lauren doesn't like the lake, so why the fuck she's there, I don't know. But Emily shows up, Lauren's there, Lauren's trying to talk to her, Emily's like, forgive me, jumps into the lake, and then the shark pops up and kills Lauren. And I don't know why. But alright, shark attack number 5. Roll credits. All right, movie's over. Great. No, it's not. No, it's not. We get our next, the movie should have been over scene that lasts 6 minutes and 54 seconds. We have a 7 goddamn minute scene of a girl who I really hope is 18 walking through a aquarium. Again, audio dropped out and it's just music playing over it. She's just walking around. She goes into a shop, like a gift shop, starts going through toy sharks, leaves, has a rubber shark that she's like rubbing all over herself, and she lowers it, and for like a fraction of a second, I'm like, okay, if this goes like full X rating in the last few seconds of this movie, I'm gonna be really upset. But the actual ending is worse. Finally, we cut away from that. I don't know why that's happening. It's very weird. It's very uncomfortable. I did not like any part of that, and it doesn't do anything. Like, why was that 7-minute scene even there? Roll credits again, and then the last 32 seconds of the movie. I guess this is a spoiler for the sequel. Ghost Whacker chick Nancy appears on screen and vomits for our 4th goddamn vomit scene, and that's how the movie ends. I've never been so angry in my life. So yeah, Donald Farmer wants to make a sequel, And I think she's going to be the star of the sequel if the IMDb is to be believed. And I hate it. Every part about this. We have this movie breakdown is like 40 minutes of plot, and I was being very liberal. 5 minutes and 44 seconds of ghost whackers. 3 minute and 3 seconds of women withering on the ground, and 1 minute and 1 second of shark scenes. We have 5 shark victims, 4 vomit scenes, 4 scenes of women withering on the ground, and 4 murders, depending on where we are with Brianna, if she was killed or not. I don't know. I have no idea I have no idea. This movie's it exists. Alright, so my slight fanfiction rewrite of this. Prepare yourselves, it gets ridiculous. Alright, so those 3 goth chicks at the cemetery, they are nuns, and they are in the same convent as Sister Blair. They sacrificed all of those, 13 children to summon a demonic deity that takes the form of a shark. The first victim that we see on screen, the one who comes up at the end of the movie to pull Sister Blair underwater, she is going to be the angelic avenger. I'm going very good omens with this, and I really couldn't tell you why. So yeah, so she's like our Michael vessel, if you will. Again, supernatural. I gotta stop. All right. Anyone who gets bitten by the shark, I'm doing It Follows rules. This is like an allegory for STDs. You get bitten by the shark and survive, you are now going to get possessed by the demon. It can possess more than one person though, so it's not like if you survive the attack, then the first person who bit you is now cured. So, or maybe this is more zombie rules. Zombie sharks. There's a movie by Missy Talley and I really want to see it, but I'm having a hard time following it. Although it apparently has an alternate name, Shark Island, which is also the name of a late 80s hair metal band that's pretty good, would recommend. Anyway, so yeah, I'm going It Follows, zombie infection kind of rule. If you get bitten and you survive, you now are possessed. So we're going to have a small core army, really, of just demon sharky people. This is ridiculous. The woman that the goth cemetery chicks were trying to summon, Sister Sybil, I'm now making a different character than Sister Blair, who I'm not sure they were supposed to be. If that's who that was supposed to be, I don't know. So she is going to be the original, nun who taught them all about this demonic shark who had also been sacrificed to help bring it forth into our world. Unfortunately, with Father Michael dead, I think we can do something that he ends up being resurrected in the sequel to help fight against them with the first victim, who I said is basically our Michael sword. And then we get into a heaven and hell shark battle. Ridiculous, but I would totally watch it. I hope that's what the sequel does. I know it won't be, but it's what I want it to do. So I'm thinking the heaven peoples, who would they just stay dead people risen from the grave? Because apparently that they can do that. So would they just stay people, or would they get an animal too? Right? But what can fight a shark? An orca. So the lake, Paris Landing, will have a great white orca battle. Boo. Also, how has there never been a movie that had a great white orca battle? He needs to get on that. Okay, this is ridiculous. I'm done. My brain is leaking. I feel like my world is spiraling. I don't understand zombie portal interdimensional demon sharks. I did my best. This was long. Thank you for watching. If you've seen a very bad shark movie, tell me below because I want to watch it. Thank you. Bye.